The whole point of Tesla is to accelerate the advent of electric vehicles.
Elon Musk, as you know, opposed to all these other people, he's the one really driving the change.
Elon Musk just made an announcement that Bugatti and Ferrari did not see coming. And it has nothing to do with a new car, nothing to do with SpaceX, nothing to do with X or Doge, or anything that the technology world was watching. It has everything to do with the most important principle in the automotive world right now. The principle that Matt Armstrong has been proving one wrecked hypercar at a time. The principle that the most powerful companies in the world have been trying to suppress for years. The right to repair. And Elon Musk just walked into that conversation in a way that changes the equation for every manufacturer who has been using proprietary software and lock systems to maintain control over what happens to their cars after the point of sale, including Bugatti, including Ferrari, including every manufacturer who thought the walls they built around their vehicles were permanent. Musk just found a sledgehammer, and Bugatti and Ferrari are not going to like where he is pointing it. Think about the specific irony of this moment, because Tesla, Elon Musk's car company, is itself currently facing two separate class action lawsuits over right to repair violations. Two, filed in San Francisco federal court. Plaintiffs claiming that Tesla has monopolized a market for compatible replacement parts and maintenance services. That Tesla owners have been forced to pay super competitive prices and suffer exorbitant wait times because Tesla's proprietary repair ecosystem makes independent service practically impossible. Two class action suits against a company owned by the man who just made the announcement that is going to change everything for Bugatti and Ferrari. That irony is not a footnote. It is the most important detail in this entire story. Because the man whose company faces right to repair lawsuits is now in a position of regulatory power that makes him simultaneously the most conflicted and the most consequential figure in the automotive repair landscape. And Matt Armstrong, who has been fighting the same battle against Bugatti that Tesla's customers have been fighting against Musk's own company, is about to find out which version of Elon Musk shows up to this fight. But before we get into exactly what the announcement means and why it changes everything for Bugatti and Ferrari, we need to understand the specific regulatory power that Musk now wields over the automotive industry. Because this is not an opinion he expressed on X, not a tweet, not a public statement made from outside the system. This is power exercised from inside the system, from Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, the advisory operation that Musk led under the Trump administration that has been systematically cutting the regulatory infrastructure that governs American automotive manufacturers. And the specific target that Doge hit that changes everything for this story is NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the federal regulator that governs vehicle safety standards, repair requirements, and the regulatory framework within which manufacturers operate in the United States. Doge cut 4% of NHTSA staff, cut the autonomous vehicle regulation team nearly in half, and in doing so, gave Musk a specific, documented, publicly reported influence over the agency that regulates every car manufacturer operating in the U.S. market, including Bugatti, including Ferrari, including every manufacturer whose repair restrictions and proprietary software locks and lock vents operate within a regulatory framework that Doge has just fundamentally weakened. Now, let us talk about what that weakening actually means in practice. Because the regulatory framework that NHTSA maintains is not just about safety. It is about the rules within which manufacturer repair policies operate. The framework that determines what manufacturers can and cannot do in terms of restricting access to their vehicles after the point of sale. And a Doge-weakened NHTSA, operating with fewer staff and a mandate to remove what Musk calls government overreach, is a NHTSA that is less able to enforce the existing protections that vehicle owners have against manufacturer repair restrictions, which sounds, on the surface, like bad news for Matt Armstrong and the right to repair movement, less regulatory enforcement. Fewer government resources dedicated to protecting consumer repair rights, a weakened watchdog. But here is where the story turns in a direction that nobody predicted. Because the same deregulation agenda that weakened NHTSA has also opened a conversation about manufacturer monopolies on repair that the right to repair lawsuits against Tesla have made impossible to ignore. And Musk, whose company faces those lawsuits, has made statements about the future of automotive regulation that send a very specific message to Bugatti and Ferrari about where the industry is going. The Tesla right to repair lawsuits are the detail that reframes everything about Musk's position in this story. Because the plaintiffs in those lawsuits say Tesla needs to open up its ecosystem and allow competition for the servicing of Tesla vehicles and sales of parts. That is the exact argument Matt Armstrong has been making about Bugatti. The exact argument that the EU right to repair directive coming into force on July 31st, 2026 has enshrined in law. The exact argument that the FIA president has been made personally aware of through the Matt Armstrong conflict. The exact argument that the CEO of Lamborghini acknowledged publicly as legitimate. And now it is being made in American federal court against a company owned by the most powerful private individual in the United States government. 2 class action suits. Proposing a class of any Tesla owner who paid for Tesla repair service or Tesla-compatible parts between March 2019 and the present. That is millions of people. And the legal fees and the potential damages and the reputational costs of those 2 class action suits are sitting on Musk's balance sheet at the exact moment he has the regulatory power to reshape the automotive repair landscape. That combination, that specific tension between being the defendant in a right to repair lawsuit and having the power to change the regulatory framework within which such lawsuits succeed or fail, is the most explosive dynamic in the automotive industry right now. Now, let's talk about what this means for Bugatti specifically, because the announcement that changes everything for Bugatti is not about Matt Armstrong directly. It is about the regulatory environment that Bugatti's repair policies depend on. Bugatti operates in the United States market. The Chiron Purse Sport that Matt Armstrong rebuilt was originally purchased in the United States by a U.S. citizen who drove it in Miami. The repair restrictions that Bugatti deployed against that car, the VIN lock, and the parts refusal, and the diagnostic denial, operated within a regulatory framework that has now been fundamentally destabilized by Musk's Doge operation. A destabilized NHTSA is not necessarily better for manufacturers who use proprietary systems to control repair. It is unpredictable, and unpredictable regulation for companies whose business models depend on specific regulatory clarity about what they can and cannot do with their vehicles after point of sale is worse than clear regulation that goes against them. Bugatti built their repair wall within a specific regulatory environment. That environment has changed, and the wall they built may not be standing on the foundations they thought it was. The Tesla Cybertruck quality problems are the detail that makes Musk's position in this story something other than purely hypocritical. Because the Cybertruck, the vehicle that represents Tesla's most ambitious and most troubled product, has been plagued with quality problems since its design conception. Bodywork falling off, wheel hubs and rotors subject to recall, windows that were supposed to be indestructible destroyed on stage by Musk himself. A product that has required more recalls and more repairs than almost any vehicle Tesla has ever produced. And those recalls and those repairs have been processed through a system that Tesla customers have been suing over for the exact same reasons that FX Alex G ran into problems with Bugatti. Proprietary parts, authorized service centers only, exorbitant wait times, super competitive prices. Tesla and Bugatti are in the same boat, owned by the man who is currently reshaping the regulatory framework in which both of them operate. And the question of which direction Musk pushes that framework toward more openness and competition in automotive repair or toward less is a question that determines what the announcement actually means for every manufacturer facing right to repair pressure right now. Ferrari's position in this story is the most vulnerable of all the manufacturers in the Matt Armstrong conflict, because Ferrari operates in both the US and EU markets, subject to American regulatory frameworks that Doge has destabilized, subject to EU right to repair legislation coming into force in July 2026, subject to the class action lawsuit precedent that the Tesla cases are establishing in U.S. federal court, and subject to the specific, publicly documented evidence of their own repair restriction practices that Matt Armstrong's Ferrari 296 GTB rebuild has been producing on camera for months. The hybrid system failure message, the block challenge parts orders, the certified body shop condition, the catch-22, all of it documented, all of it public, all of it sitting in the same evidentiary landscape as the Tesla lawsuits and the EU directive and the Doge deregulation and every other force that is reshaping the automotive repair world simultaneously. Ferrari is not just facing Matt Armstrong. They are facing a convergence of forces that is the most comprehensive challenge to manufacture, repair monopolies that the automotive industry has ever experienced. And the announcement that Musk just made sits at the center of that convergence. But here is the most shocking connection that nobody has made yet, the one that ties Elon Musk and Matt Armstrong into the same story in a way that goes beyond regulatory overlap. Matt Armstrong fixed the Bugatti Chiron using parts from 8 different brands, including an 11-pound Amazon bolt, including Honda Civic radiator cores, including a Mercedes-Benz pyro fuse that Bugatti installed themselves. He proved that the parts behind the manufacturer's mystique are accessible, that the specification can be met without the authorized supply chain, that the wall is made of information rather than physics. And Elon Musk, through Tesla, proved the same thing from the other side of the equation. Tesla's class action lawsuits prove that a manufacturer can be sued for creating exactly the kind of information wall that Matt Armstrong scaled on the Bugatti, that the legal framework exists to challenge repair monopolies built on proprietary systems and authorized service networks, that what Matt Armstrong proved physically, that the wall could be climbed, the Tesla plaintiffs are proving legally that the wall should not exist. Different approach. Same wall, and the announcement that Musk just made, whatever its specific form, sits inside that convergence between the physical proof and the legal challenge and the legislative deadline of July 31st, and the DOGE destabilization of American automotive regulation. And for Bugatti and Ferrari, sitting in that convergence is the most uncomfortable place the automotive world has ever put them. The Mark McCann connection adds a final layer to this story, because McCann, working on Bugatti restorations through channels outside the official network, described a legal loophole mechanism that Bugatti uses to prevent independent repair that goes beyond simple corporate policy, a specific legal framework that gives manufacturers a basis for restricting part supply that the EU directive is designed to eliminate and that the Tesla class action lawsuits are challenging in the United States. And Elon Musk, sitting at the intersection of running a company facing those exact lawsuits and having the regulatory power that DOGE created, is the most consequential single figure in determining whether that legal loophole framework survives or collapses in the American market. Bugatti and Ferrari built their repair walls partly on legal foundations that Musk has the power to either shore up or demolish.